Good morning, everyone. This is Tom Brackett. I'm the president of the New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome all of you to our webinar this morning with Rob Asaro-Angelo, the Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Also, I want to thank our two partners on this webinar. First, the advisory and accounting firm of Withum. Withum is the provider of the facilities for this webinar. Especially, I want to thank their CEO, Bill Hageman, who is also a member of our executive committee. I also want to thank our other partner, ROI New Jersey, and Tom Bergeron, and Tom will moderate the discussion with the Commissioner today. Before I turn it over to Tom, I want to thank Commissioner Asaro-Angelo for joining us during what is an extremely busy time for him. The Commissioner oversees all of New Jersey's services to its workforce, and one of his most important and significant areas of responsibility is unemployment insurance, which is one of the topics we're going to discuss today. He is also responsible for many other services, including wage and hour compliance, workers' compensation, and family leave insurance. We've already gotten a number of questions on these topics from participants. So to get the conversation started, here's the Editor and Chief Content Officer of ROI-NJ, Tom Bergeron.
Thanks, Tom. Glad to be here. Glad to be helping everybody out on this. I know there's a lot of questions on unemployment. We appreciate the Commissioner for joining us. Just to explain to people out there, we're going to do a lot of big picture stuff here, try to give answers that will apply to everyone. We know that everyone has their own specific question. We're going to try to get those as they come in, answer as many as we can. Again, try to use it in a big picture format that applies to everyone else and not so much specifically what happened to claim number, XYZ. So that's where we're going. Let's start today with the breaking news of today. The new unemployment numbers came out, and I guess the bad news is that there's 141,000 new claims. The good news is that that number is far smaller than the two previous weeks. So let me bring in Commissioner Robert Asaro-Angelo. Again, thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about today's numbers and what's your first takeaway when you see them.
Well, as you said, Tom, one, thanks for having me. Thanks, Tom Bracken, to the Chamber and ROI for having me here today. I like to have the ability to talk to our constituents and the folks around the state at this stressful time. I feel like as much as possible to be as transparent and to be able to answer questions sort of helps with that. While the answer might always not be what you want, I think it's important to have these forums. So yes, as you mentioned before, the number of claims went down from the week before, but it's still an enormous number. The week ending April 11th, the number was 141,000 claims as opposed to 214,000 the week before. So a precipitous drop, which is great. But at the same time, we're still dealing with very large numbers of folks who are filing for unemployment who we want to, one, get back to work as soon as possible. There is a whole jobs board with tens of thousands of jobs available, but two, make sure that they get every penny they deserve through their unemployment eligibility, whether it be for regular unemployment insurance or some things I know we'll talk about later, some of the new federal programs as well. And as we also released today, the unemployment numbers for March came out, and unsurprisingly, the unemployment number went up. Actually, the unemployment rate held steady at 3.8, which I know sort of seems sort of nonsensical, but the BLS surveys are conducted in the middle of the month, so they didn't really capture what happened the last 2 weeks of March. So we'll see that next month probably, but they did show a decrease of 31,000 jobs in March, even before the major shutdowns happened across the state. So it's sort of weird putting out that number today, the same day we're saying that we've now surpassed 718,000 unemployment claims in the state.
So just to put things in perspective for the listeners out there, 141,000 claims this week. Well, again, a huge drop from 214 from the week before and 206 the year before, the week before. Before this started, for the week of March 8th through the 14th, there were roughly 9,000 claims. So that's what you're looking at. You went from 9,000 to 141,000. So no matter how you crack it, what is being asked of the DOL in the process of these claims is still an extraordinary ask. So Commissioner, let's talk about, I know you guys have been able to make some changes as you went along. These systems, look, this is what you inherited. This isn't something you developed. A lot of them were outdated. A lot of the computer processing were slow. You've done a lot of things to speed stuff up. Let's talk about how you've been able to do that and where we are on the state of the claims as far as the ones that were held up and how much have been processed.
So let me just first by saying, I think it's important to realize, and it's not going to make someone feel better if they're waiting for their claim or their check, but percentage-wise, nothing has changed for the rate of our claims that are being processed or being paid or need extra help. About a little over half of the claims that come in go to our online system, go through with no problem. They get processed, the claims are found eligible, and they're getting paid within 2 to 3 weeks, which is the normal even before the pandemic. And even the percentage of claims that need agent intervention are the same. But when you're talking about raw numbers going from 9,000 a week to 215,000 a week, obviously the raw numbers are what is overloading the system. The computer system is actually fine. While it's antiquated, it might not give us flexibility we would like. We had some problems on March 15th and 16th, but since then that's been running fine. There's no different load problems. We have expanded our network capacity to meet the demand. And right now, 92% of our claims are coming through online. Where the bottleneck is happening is the folks who are filing a claim and need to speak to an agent, which I said is close to half of those claims that come in. Now, some of the things you alluded to, we made some improvements this past week. We automated some more processes to take that huge chunk of folks who need to talk to an agent and reduce it to automate some of the processes. For example, 60% of those folks who had to speak to an agent before, we're doing some back-end processing. They no longer need to speak to an agent. A large number of those population are folks who are applying for programs that aren't yet up and running. Some of the new Federal CARES Act provisions. So we send them an email that we'll be back in touch with them when they're ready to go. So we're doing everything we can with what we have to improve the services. Additionally, by the end of this week, we'll have an additional 500 laptops in the hands of Department of Labor staff across the state, so they can telework and work on these claims from home, which will be a huge boost to the number of folks who are able to get service quickly. We increased our phone capacity. So prior to last Wednesday, when people were trying to call these numbers that have been overloaded, we only had 1,800 lines going in, and we had obviously tens and tens of thousands of people calling. So we're getting a busy signal or some other kind of dropped signal. We've expanded that capacity, so they might not get a human being right away. They're at least going into our automated phone system to get more information. We've also opened up a new intelligent email response system on our website. So when folks email us, they're not going into a well. They're getting an email right back pertinent to the issue they're emailing us about, with more FAQs and other like generic answers that might be helpful. What we're seeing from the data of folks who are calling in is that most folks are calling our numbers, whether it be our numbers that are online for unemployment, or our folks are finding our numbers here at the office, or calling our one-stops or legislative offices. Most of the questions and inquiries aren't claim specific. They're questions about these new programs, questions about how to file. So we're also trying to get as much information as possible up on our website to have in people's hands before they have to go through the filing process, so they have to increase their chances of having clean claim when they go in. And also, surprisingly, a large portion of the folks who are calling who have issues with their claim, it was a simple mistake of entering the wrong date of their last day of work, answering a question the wrong way that made it get flagged, putting the wrong number on their social security number. All sorts of things like that are also taking up time. So we're trying to have folks really check their answers. As simple as that sounds, there are tens of thousands of folks who made a simple mistake like that who are now trying to speak to an agent to cure their claim.
Just like the old high school algebra test, you got to check your work before you submit it.
Yes.
So let me ask you the simple question that I'm already starting to see on some of the questions coming in. We have all of these people who are unemployed. You have all of these claims coming in. Why don't you just take some of the unemployed, hire a whole bunch of them to handle these claims? Wouldn't that make things faster? I know the answer to this question, but I think a lot of people are thinking, gee, why don't they just bring on another 100, 500 people and blow through all these claims?
A couple things. One, we are hiring. We did post some jobs the other day, actually, I think in UI. But the real answer to your question is, I wish it was that simple. Folks who are our UI claims processors, they've been doing this for years. And as folks can probably tell, the unemployment system is not simple. It's not something you can get somebody trained up on in a week or even a month's time. So what we are trying to do is triage to have more of the calls that are coming in, speak to somebody that can help them with answers they might need that aren't specific to a claim, to free up the time of the folks who are our UI claims experts to work on those claims. But we are hiring. I think our jobs got posted the other day. I think they're actually on the jobs.covid19.nj.gov website. And I've always said that I think it's better to have folks who've gone through this process, successfully or unsuccessfully, be working for us. And just, full disclosure, before this job, before my last job, I had to file for unemployment when I left the federal government, and filing for unemployment was a big pain in the ass. Being a federal employee, there's a separate set of paperwork you have to get in from the federal government, and the federal government wasn't releasing my paperwork. It took me 4 to 5 months to get that through. So I definitely understand the frustration. It doesn't make it easier for anybody, but I'm trying to work every day to be as communicative as possible with our folks who are filing with the answers they need. And the other thing I want to say is that, one, we are trying to staff up more. I think, like I said, to help triage these calls, but also you can sort of look at the data. Also, folks who are calling, people who are calling 2 weeks ago without us doing anything, their claim is going forward. That's just sort of the wait time it takes. And then we have new folks calling in this week, and I'm willing to bet that a large majority of them won't be calling again in 8 or 9 or 10 days because their claim will be getting processed automatically.
So again, another question that comes in, and this is way too specific, and folks, please hold off on this question if you think about the answer. And this reminds me of my restaurant days when I used to wait tables and declared every penny of my tips. Let me just say that right now. People would always tell me, we were sat before they were sat. How come they got their meal before we did? Not taking into consideration that maybe they had a well-done burger and the other person had a salad. We get that all the time. You've seen these questions coming in. I filed my claim a week before my neighbor. My neighbor got paid. I didn't get mine. I can't get a hold of these people. Just talk a little bit about the numbers that are coming in and how, it's not necessarily single file order. It's just left and right, and how you're working to get them all processed. Because as the money doesn't come, that's the number one complaint is how come it's taking so long?
Right, and I think it's a good example. I mean, it's like I said, more than half of our claims are clean claims, meaning we have all the information from the employers that we need in our systems already. They're paid for on the WR30s. They've been working for a while. They have records from the past 5 quarters that are in our system, as opposed to somebody who might file before them, but maybe they entered something wrong in their form, or maybe their employer hasn't submitted all the proper documentation on the WR30s, or they didn't have them listed correctly, or maybe the employer disagrees with the fact that this person was laid off, or that the last day was a different day than the employer thinks it is. So all these things can sort of muck up the works, for lack of a better term. And the employers who are being filed against have rights to appeal as well, as many of the employers on the phone know. So it's really, there's a million different reasons why someone's claim might not be getting processed as quick as their neighbors who applied after them.
All right, so let's get to more questions. And again, some of these I think will touch a lot of people, so I'll be happy to ask them. Here's a question as written. Can a person that works a full-time job and also a part-time job that they were furloughed or laid off from be eligible for partial unemployment?
It depends, like every other answer I'm probably going to give, but mainly if you're working 40-hour full-time job, you're probably ineligible for additional UI benefits from your part-time job. But if you have 2 part-time jobs that equal 40 or less, you're likely eligible for partial for the one that you're losing.
All right. Are sole proprietors entitled to unemployment in light of COVID-19? And so how do they apply?
So if you go to our website, we posted 2 new documents yesterday, PDF documents, to sort of explain this process. So it's one of the program under the CARES Act is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is basically the goal is to get benefits into the hands of self-employed, independent contractors. An important piece to note here, these are for folks who are ineligible for regular unemployment. Now, what's sort of counterintuitive about it is that the first step is that you need to be found ineligible for unemployment, which means you need to go through the process of filing for unemployment and being denied. That is a federal rule and reg as part of the law. This batch of benefits is only for folks who are ineligible for regular unemployment. So the first step in this process is going to be going through and filing online and getting denied by us. But if you go through the PDF that's on there on our main website, guidance was released yesterday. You'll see the step-by-step screenshot guide on there and some more answers to your questions about that process. And I think it's sort of, when you think about it, while it's folks are calling it unemployment, it's really not part of the unemployment insurance system in the regular sense. Per our guidelines and rules, they weren't employed in the first place in the traditional sense. They were either their own business owner or an independent contractor. I mean, they weren't W-2 wage earners. And right now, our system is built for people who are employed through W-2 wages. And also, they weren't paying premiums on the insurance. It's unemployment insurance. So folks who are normally filing, they've been paying into the system along with their employers. So there's new set of rules for the pandemic unemployment assistance, which we're going to get up and running as soon as possible, get the money out as much as possible. Just to be very clear, this is 100% fully federally funded. So it is in our interests in this department. It is in the state's interest. It's in the interest of our unemployment trust fund, which every employer in the state and every employee pays into, to have as many people claiming pandemic unemployment assistance as possible. It's just going to take a little time for them to go through that process because of the way that it was written.
Those are great points, and I know that they're going to come up again and again in the question. So if you didn't follow that, trust me, I'm sure he's going to be repeating this before our time is up. Speaking about paying into the system, here's a real good question that's come in. I worked at the same job for more than 10 years. My ad here. Unfortunately, I left that job on February 7th. I started a new job on February 10th, and a few weeks later, I got laid off due to COVID, and now my claims have been denied. Talk about the idea of long-term players who had the unfortunate experience of switching jobs right before this happened.
Again, there's probably a specific reason, but in general, that scenario, you should be eligible for UI. So I'm not sure. Maybe your earnings for this quarter didn't come in yet, or they're not, or for some other reason. I don't know if this person's exhausted before. Again, there could be a multitude of reasons why it is, but I doubt it's being denied. Probably it needs agent intervention. I probably just didn't go through clean. But again, it's hard to answer those kind of questions. But if someone's been paying in for multiple years and then started a new job, it shouldn't matter. You're still and their job stops because of COVID. They are definitely eligible for unemployment.
All right, question coming in here. I have gotten an NJDOL prepaid card. However, I'm receiving my unemployment payments via direct deposit in my checking account. What should I do with this prepaid card aside from sending it to me?
Well, there's probably no money on it if they're getting direct deposit. Just hold on to it. And that does seem like an unusual situation. I don't know. Maybe this person might have had the card from TDI or FLI, possibly separately. But that's the first I've heard of somebody getting direct deposit, but also having a card. It's usually the other way around.
All right, a lot of questions coming up on the extra $600. So before I get to the specifics, why don't you give a quick overview of what it's for, who gets it, the timeline, how it works, do I need to apply, that kind of view from 10,000 feet?
Yep. So the additional $600 was included in the CARES Act that was signed a couple weeks ago into law. Just so you know, we had so the bill was signed on a Friday night, and in order to have the first week available for eligibility, we had to go through a whole process to get assigned paperwork into the U.S. Department of Labor to make sure that we were eligible starting that following Sunday. So that way every New Jerseyan will be eligible for these extra benefits. So the $600 is for anybody who's eligible for unemployment starting the week that began March 29th. So if you are getting unemployment benefits, the $600 will be additional to that. For most folks, they were getting it 3 or 4 days after they get their regular unemployment payment, whether it be through direct deposit or through the bank card. The first set of payments started going out this past Tuesday, and that was for that first week that started March 29th. So basically, the payment of that $600 is for everybody. For any reason you're getting unemployment insurance for, you will get that $600. And if you haven't been found eligible yet, you will get it backdated just like you will your unemployment benefits. If you're an independent contractor or self-employed who will be applying for the pandemic unemployment assistance, once that gets approved, you will get your assistance backdated to the first day of separation, or for lack of a better term, and the $600 additional will also be backdated. So folks are getting it automatically. It doesn't matter what you're claiming. If your benefit is $300 or if it's $713, you're still getting that additional $600. There's nothing else you need to do. Anybody that we're paying benefits to will also be getting that separate $600 payment.
Boom, it's funny. I'm getting these questions in real time, and two just popped in about people getting partial benefits, partial unemployment, as someone was saying, and just to confirm, they will still get the extra $600.
Absolutely.
All right.
And just so on timeline, so there's a, basically your unemployment benefits, the pay goes into your pocket or your account basically 7 to 10 days after the week that you're filing for. So this extra $600 is just a couple of days lag from that. So folks will be getting that benefit all the way through probably August 13th if they're unemployed the whole time, because the benefit goes to the end of July.
And just to reiterate, I think you said the first week of that extra 600 is March 29th, correct?
That's the Sunday of that week, correct?
Right. So if you were getting unemployment for the 2 previous weeks, you will not get the 600 backdated to those 2 weeks. It starts on the March 29th week, correct?
Correct.
All right. Partners in an LLC apply for unemployment. How do they do it? How do corporate officers apply for unemployment? How does that work? Is there any difference?
There is difference, and we might be eligible for regular unemployment or for the new pandemic unemployment assistance. That is one of the things I am not an expert on, but I know that there's a FAQ on our website about that specific issue, because obviously we've been dealing with for a while. You might end up being better off waiting to apply for the pandemic unemployment assistance. It might be easier to get through, but there is an FAQ on our website for corporate officers and LLCs.
Okay, so the couple questions on this for people who were getting unemployment before all of this started, or had their unemployment exhaust before all of this. Do they have any opportunity to get more or be extended? In other words, do they start from zero again? But let's say you had been getting unemployment for 10 or 12 weeks before the pandemic hit. What is their status?
So part of the CARES Act also was to offer extended benefits of 13 weeks. In New Jersey, our benefit period is 26 weeks. So now folks will be eligible for 39 weeks. So if you're currently collecting, our hope is that it'll just be automatically extended. You won't have to do anything. For folks who have exhausted, basically since the middle of last year, you will also be eligible for this additional 13 weeks. We're working out with USDOL now how to go about that. But per federal rules, we will be notifying everybody who's eligible for that extension. So folks who have exhausted with us over that time frame will be hearing from us shortly, and folks who are currently collecting will be getting a notice as well. And our hope is that we'll be able to do that automatically for the folks who are currently collecting, and we don't know yet what the process is for folks who have exhausted, but we should have that those answers soon, and they'll be hearing from us, whether it be a regular mail, email, or phone call.
All right, here's an interesting question from a business owner. They're talking about trying to keep their employees whole. So I'm going to give them a round number. Let's say that they have an employee that was making $1,000 a week. They want to cut their hours down to $400 a week and then say, hey, you can make up with the $600 supplement through partial unemployment. Is something like that allowed? Are they gaming the system? What's your view on that?
They are not gaming the system. That's something that we call work share here in New Jersey. Also, some people know as short-term compensation. If you go to I don't know if we could send out emails to folks after this call, but on our website, if you just search work share, New Jersey and labor, it should take you to a website with an email on it that you can email somebody in our department about setting up your work share program, where basically the employer fills out a form with us, and then we work on the employer side. They submit who the employees are and what percentage they're going to be reducing them. In New Jersey, this is only available for employers who have 10 employees or more, and the reduction has to be between, I believe, 20 and 60%. So that $400 is the max, or that hours can be cut, and they will basically receive. They will receive their unemployment benefits as if they were filing for unemployment on a salary of $600 a week. So they would get the 60% of that. But right now, they would also get the $600.
All right, I hope everybody followed the numbers on that. That was pretty good. Here's more numbers for you. Somebody says, I've been denied unemployment benefits for not meeting the minimum 20 base weeks or $8,000 in wages. Am I out of luck?
No, you'll likely be eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance we've been talking about. So if you filed and claimed already, as part of the US DOL federal rules, we'll be reaching out to everybody who fits into that universe of folks who will now be eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance, whose whole goal was to be a resource and benefits for folks who are ineligible for regular UI, which sounds like you fall into.
Let me just jump in here, and I'm not doing a plug for the DOL or the commissioner here, but all the people that think the DOL is incompetent because of everything that was going on, the guy has all the answers. They know what they're doing. They're just so backed up. You know, it's just insane the number of claims that are coming in, but you've handled every question I've had perfectly. So I give credit to you and your organization for handling this unbelievable load of extra claims.
I do appreciate that, but I also at the same time, I know full well that having good answers doesn't matter if somebody's not getting the benefits they want when they want it.
Fair point. And here's another question from a business owner. Due to the increased number of unemployment claims, do you think that there's going to be an increase in the SUI rate for employers?
I am hopeful that is not the case. To be honest, we've been just dealing with trying to get these benefits out and programs up and running. I mean, basically 2 weeks ago, we're told by the federal government, which I'm very happy about, that you now need to stand up 5 brand new programs that'll expand your universe exponentially. And programs that each would usually take a year or so to get up and running. So we've been focusing on that nonstop. I know a lot of folks are concerned about their ratings. I just want to make sure that I'm very clear that my goal is that no employer in New Jersey's experience rating goes up because of COVID-related reasons. A lot of the part of the CARES Act, part of these different provisions based on these new programs gives us that flexibility not to charge employers for that, and that is our full intent. But to be completely honest, we just haven't gotten there yet. So we know that's something for down the road anyway. Those numbers and those experience ratings get calculated at the end of March, I think, every year. So it's not something anybody has to worry about until 2021 anyway. So it's not something we focused on, but it is beneficial to us and to every employer in New Jersey that we're going to, it is our goal, again, that nobody has any kind of penalty for their experience rating. Also want to say here that we entered this situation in great shape in the solvency of our trust fund. We've never had as high a balance in our trust fund, thanks to the work of the many businesses, especially the Chamber did earlier last decade to shore up and fix the unemployment trust fund. The voters of New Jersey passed constitutional amendments to make sure that it's as strong as it is now. When you are an employer, you pay your experience rating, and there's a statewide column that shows the amount you're going to pay. And we are about to move to the best column this year. I don't know whether or not we're going to be able to do that, which would have meant an additional $500 million in savings for New Jersey employers. But the fact that we're starting from there, that our employers are going to be in better shape even after this pandemic, regards to their unemployment experience rating, than they were at the height of the Great Recession.
All right, so let's talk about the idea of, on the list you have to ask, are you seeking work? And as you pointed out, I think at the beginning of the call, and here at ROI, we've done stories that there are 50,000 jobs available in the state right now, just on the state's page. Now, the type of work that's involved may not necessarily be the same type of work that other people are leaving. Talk about the idea of having to look for a job and take a job and when you might be ineligible. And somebody else raises the question, a business owner here saying, hey, if we get back to business as normal in 2 months from now, but yet the extra $600 a week is still out there, my employees are going to have no incentive to come back to work because they're making as much, if not more, with the extra $600. How is that going to jive as far as looking for work when it's eligible and becoming an employee?
Because there's a couple different questions there. I'm going to work backwards. As we've made very clear, as the governor has made clear, was in our release yesterday, the governor will be saying again today, somebody cannot voluntarily quit to go into unemployment and then receive the additional $600. You are not allowed to voluntarily quit to become unemployed. That being said, we have relaxed for the time being our work search requirements. But if somebody is applying, they should still state that they are looking for work for sure. And for the short term, we have relaxed our work search requirements as far as having to show us every week that you've reached out to a certain number of employers, because we know that's not really, we're not in the same paradigm we were even a month ago in that realm. But our goal and the law is that if you have work available to you, that you cannot choose to be unemployed. And as we go further along in this process, we're probably going to have set up some kind of intake form for employers who are having that exact problem, to sort of, to make sure that we know that somebody is not coming to work when they have work available to them.
So here's another question coming in right on the heels of that. As an employer, as an owner, does it make a difference if I lay someone off or if I furlough them in regard to saying, hey, your job's back on July 1st or August 1st or June 1st? Is there a difference in the term that's used and how that goes about?
Not for our filings, no. At the beginning of this crisis, we heard from some employees who were being told they had the option to become voluntarily furloughed. They can keep their benefits, but they wouldn't get paid. In that situation, they wouldn't be eligible because they were still volunteering not to work. But if it's the employer saying that you are furloughed or you are laid off, we treat that the same way. They are being terminated temporarily.
Got a lot more on unemployment and gig workers. We'll get to that in a little bit. Sole proprietor. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going through the questions as they come in, and most of them are the same questions that we keep coming up with here. So let me go to another list. Here's a good question. If I get the PPP loan and I'm able to bring my employees back and they don't want to because they're getting more, what is my recourse? I think we just talked about this.
Yes. So basically, if they're filing for unemployment, I don't know the full nuts and bolts, but I believe that we're in touch with the employer, and they can let us know that somebody is refusing to work, and there would be an adjudication hearing, or we'd be reaching out to that employee, letting them know that they have work available to them and why are they still trying to collect unemployment. We're trying to streamline that process. I know this is heavy in the minds of a lot of businesses in New Jersey, and I totally understand.
Commissioner, you're starting to get a little bit muzzled here if you have switched.
I will move closer. I did not switch. It sounds like there's another phone on the line. I hear a bunch of background noise.
Right, you're all good now. All right, what is the protocol for advocates filing on behalf of elderly or disabled constituents who do not have access to the internet or how to navigate it? I've had organizations who helping disabled constituents. Are they allowed to speak for those people who are unable to file for themselves?
That's a great question that I haven't dealt with before. I'm going to try to get you an answer in the next 25 minutes.
Look at that, folks. 35 minutes in, we finally stumped the band. Perfect.
But just to be clear, if you're at a computer entering things in for somebody else, clearly that's fine.
Right. And how would you know the difference?
Right.
I received a cut in pay but continue to work my regular hours. There's a nice deal. Can I still collect?
Cut in pay.
So say you're going to be on 50% salary, but we still want you to work a 40-hour week. Forgive the ethical legal question there. Talk about the filing part.
I do not believe so, if you're still working full time.
So if they've cut your pay, I mean, I guess you'd have to fib and say I'm only working 20 hours a week if they're only paying me for 20 hours a week and 20 is for free. But that gets into a legal ethical question, it sounds like.
That would be a correct interpretation.
Work share, different employment. From an employer's point of view, can we choose to furlough employees for 1 week, bring them back the next, furlough them the third, sort of go back and forth? How will that impact them? How will that impact us? How will that go through the system?
That is fine. I think that how that would work is they would just not certify those weeks they are for those weeks they are working, and then certify for the weeks they aren't working.
All right. So it wouldn't be confusing to be on for 1 week and off for the next as far as your organization is concerned.
No, I'm not gonna lie. It might not go through as a clean claim. They might have to be in touch with somebody. But we deal with that all the time.
All right, here's something kind of specific. I went from being a W-2 last year to a 1099 this year. I was at my previous position for 2 years and was only incorporated in February of this year. Am I still eligible?
Based on those parameters, it sounds like it, yes.
All right. I'm an independent contractor, self-employed. I received an automated email from the DOL yesterday stating my claim was processed, but when I go to check the claim status page, it says pending. But it said this for a long time. Is that normal?
I believe that email that they received had instructions on what to do based on what it says on the claim. So I mean, I don't know what the individual situation is, but they might be saying they're an independent contractor, but maybe we have some W-2 records from them from something somewhere. But otherwise, most of the folks that got that email are in that universe that will be hearing back from us shortly about the pandemic unemployment assistance and how to move forward with that.
All right, here's a question specifically from a realtor, but I think this would be for any type of commission job. The question says, I'm a realtor and I have deals that closed in March and will have 2 close in April. So I have income now. However, because of COVID, I have no new business and I will not have income in May, June, or July. Should I apply now? Should I wait? How do I handle that situation?
If you have income now, I would wait also because we'll probably have a cleaner application up for the pandemic unemployment assistance sometime soon. Just to be clear, well, it'll be a cleaner application, but folks who have applied already, they're still ahead of the game because they've been deemed ineligible. So if you have income coming now, I would wait just because I think it'd be easier for you because right now you'll be showing that you have income and you have to do a whole appeal. And so if I was you, I would think you should wait until further down the road when you are not having income to make the claim go through easier.
All right, same question about getting a pay cut but no loss of hours. So I'll assume that's the same. This is an exempt employee who's taken a pay cut but have not had the hours reduced. So they cannot use unemployment to make up that pay cut, correct?
Correct.
Another one, I work as a per diem massage therapist in a hospital. I only work 4 to 5 hours a week, but now I don't work at all. Am I eligible?
It would depend. They're saying per diem, which makes me think they're an independent contractor, which would make them likely eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance. But if they're not, if they're a W-2 employee and they're hitting enough hours and or wages, they would be eligible. I don't know if they're going to hit that minimum threshold.
Got it. All right. So here's another question on the on again, off again work situation, and I don't fully understand it. On the second week we file a claim, the second time, is it a new claim or do I pick up from the old claim, so to speak? Does that make sense?
You're not filing a new claim. You're just going to recertify your claim every week to prove that's basically so we know that you still want to collect, that you still are not having any income, that you're not working, and you're still eligible. But it's basically you don't open a new claim. It's the same claim, just recertify.
Okay. As a temporary staffing manager, what happens when we lay off an employee because our client's closed for COVID-19 and does not want to return when they reopen because they prefer the unemployment? Again, it's the same thing about people that would rather take the unemployment than work.
Correct. They're not allowed to voluntarily be unemployed.
Must apply for a full calendar week, Monday through Friday, before they apply for unemployment, or can you do partial weeks?
I mean, you're always applying for the week prior, essentially. So if that's a question about when to apply, like you're working this Monday through Wednesday, you should wait till the beginning of the next week to apply. But if you're talking about whether or not you're eligible for UI for having reduced days or less days, then yes, the answer is yes.
Our company merged with another company. One YMCA merged with another YMCA. So employees from the previous Y have a higher date with the new Y of a different date, but essentially no break in service. Will that impact unemployment benefits?
It shouldn't. We still have their wage records. You know, when you look at wage records, it's based on the employee, not necessarily who their employer was. But I don't want to speak to if that change might have caused some other problem, but I don't, they should be fine.
I'm running out of questions here. If I made a mistake on an application, where can I correct it without talking to an agent?
That's a difficult one. And just to be clear, a lot of these issues are for claimant's own protection. You know, we have there's been a lot of UI fraud in the past. So we've changed our processes so we can verify that it's the actual person making that change. I think some changes can be made online. It would depend on what that change is. So it's hard to answer that with a generic overall question, with the overall answer. It depends on what the change is, but we likely need to hear from an agent. Depending on what it is.
All right, so here's another good question. I got laid off. I got a 2-week severance pay. Do I get unemployment? Do I have to wait 2 more weeks for that severance pay to play out before I can technically claim unemployment, or do I get to sort of double dip there?
I think it depends on how the severance is being paid out. I think if it's a lump sum before you go, I believe you can start filing, but if they're paying it out like on a regular basis, like as if it was wages, you cannot. Again, but I also want to say that, you know, a lot of these answers are on our website in our extensive FAQs. So I would caution that if you're taking any of these answers, that you'd also just double check, especially on some of these more intricate ones on the website, especially on the severance, on the corporate, on the LLCs. There's a lot of different factors that play into that, and me giving an answer over this webcast is not a definitive answer per se.
We appreciate you being open and honest and transparent as best you can, though. And here's one where I think I might need to get a divorce attorney on the line. It says it's a husband and wife business, and one of the spouses has been laid off due to lack of business. Can the spouse collect unemployment? I wouldn't see why not.
I mean, well, you're saying it's a husband-wife business, and then they were late. So did they lay themselves off? I don't know that means.
It's co-owners of a business, a married couple, and they apparently are drawing a salary, and due to a lowering of revenue, they're now only taking one salary, and the second person has been laid off. Can that second person claim unemployment?
Most likely, yes. I mean, if they're set up as a, you know, they're paying themselves with W-2s or whatever, then that'd be easier. If not, they could probably definitely file for the pandemic unemployment assistance.
All right, here's a good question. I'm working remotely in another state, and my hours have been reduced. Which state do I apply for unemployment in?
If you're getting a check or you're getting paid by a company based in New Jersey, you should file in New Jersey. If the work before you started teleworking was in New Jersey, and you're still working for that same company, you should file in New Jersey.
But if you're working for a Pennsylvania company remotely and always have been, that would go through Pennsylvania assistance.
Yes, and I just want to be very clear that is one of the biggest problems with our systems is with interstate claims. Folks who live out of state almost always get flagged for agent intervention as a security measure. And we have these interstate wage systems that we work with each other on to verify wages from other states and vice versa. And that has been going down. That's a US DOL run system that has been having problems with the national load. So I feel bad. A lot of folks are getting dinged on that and through no fault of their own because this national system is not being able to keep up with the work.
All right, here's a great childcare question. It comes from an owner who has employees in their job who cannot work from home. It's not a work from home type job. However, they have had to stay at home for childcare issues now that their children are out of school. When they exhaust their COVID childcare leave, can they get approved for unemployment even though there's work to do, but they're unable to get there because they have to care for their children? How would that work out?
So they've exhausted their 10 weeks of the FFCRA, the Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act bill, that 10 weeks mandated paid leave. There is a matrix on our website I'm going to try to pull up right now because that's one of the scenarios. I do believe they would be eligible for UI after their other leave runs out. But if you go to nj.gov/labor, there's a link on the right side that says let me see what it's called. Updated benefits for New Jersey employees. And it's a very pretty multicolored chart that has like a flow chart based on, let's see, 12 different scenarios. And it takes you through different state sick leave, paid leave, unemployment, so yeah, it looks like on here, you will be able to file for unemployment after you exhaust the federal emergency paid family leave.
Here's a question asking about their child, 17, who has a part-time job, which has been closed due to COVID, asking if they're eligible for unemployment. I'm going to guess you're going to tell me that's a matter of how many hours and how much wages they're making more than the age.
Yes, but they're right. If they're working enough hours and have that minimum wage base, they're eligible. And if not, they might be eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance.
But if they're working a weekend shift at McDonald's or the movie theaters or whatever, and they're doing 6, 8, 10 hours a weekend, they likely are not going to hit any threshold.
Probably right.
All right, here's a specific question. Good luck on this one. My unemployment was approved, but every time I go to certify my benefit, it states I have no benefits to claim at this time, and then gives me a new date to process my certification. What can I do?
There could be a million different reasons for that.
Yeah.
I would say keep trying to certify, and that at some point somebody will get back to them, or they'll get an email or a letter about scheduling an appointment.
Here's another question relating to an employee voluntarily refusing to return to work. Do I, as an employer, need to submit something? Should I submit something? Will you contact me? How do I let them know that this person won't come back for work?
Keep checking our website, but I do believe that when somebody files, we do reach out to the employer. So whatever contact you receive from our department on the front end of their filing, I would try to reach back out through that method of communication.
All right, so the follow-up question here, so exempt staff pay is not based on hours. But so if it's just a cut and pay and you're not an hourly employee, there's no way that anyone who's exempt could possibly file for unemployment unless they were laid off, correct?
I mean, you could be exempt and have a cut in hours, not just
Okay.
pay, and it could be. Oh, hello? Can you hear me, Tom? Uh-oh.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you both. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so they can definitely still file for partial even if they're exempt. I think we lost Tom. There we go.
I'm here. Everybody back?
Yes.
Okay. If you worked for, so that's the dual state question. If you work for another state for the first half of 2019, would that reduce the rate of your benefit because you've only worked for half a year in New Jersey?
Overall, no. We combine wages with other states, but you might have to get paid their benefit rate, which is lower than New Jersey's for that half of the year. And it's definitely going to take you more time for your application to verify your wages from the other state.
The follow-up question is, do I need to apply in both states?
No.
I'm the owner of a business and I pay myself as a W-2 employee through payroll, just like the rest of my staff. What unemployment benefits are available to me as the owner? Is there any difference?
If you're paying yourself through a W-2, you're entitled to the same as everybody else.
Okay. Is there an answer on corporate officers and what about their family members?
Although I don't know what the family members have to do with it, but corporate officers, like I said, there's an FAQ on our website. I think it depends on how your corporation is organized through business records.
All right, and we've got a couple on these going to the other part of your job. Will there be training grants available for employees to train for employers to train new employees? Anything for job switching and all of that? Has that come up at all?
Yes, the Department of Labor has lots of money for job training. Clearly, those folks have been sort of less busy lately doing training programs, but we have all kinds of options for there. If you go to nj.gov/labor for the employer's portal on there for how to access different training funds, it could be on-the-job training. We're trying to switch some of our training to be funding online training programs, virtual training programs. But certainly, if there's an employer who has a need right now, we are definitely anxious to help them as much as we can.
All right, another question on the furlough. Should a furloughed employee, and again, we can go back to the on-week, off-week thing. If I've been furloughed, should I still check the box that says I'm actively seeking work, even though I know I'm going to return in a week or two?
Yes.
All right. Let me get to this is, again, Commissioner, thank you for your time. I have blown through 5 or 6 email batches. This is the 8th batch of questions that I've gotten. Each one's been about 25. So listen, to all the listeners out there, we appreciate all the questions. We hope that you're getting the answers that you were looking for. And we thank the Commissioner for giving us so much time. So let me get a couple more of these and we're going to wrap this up at the top of the hour. And we'll go from there. Where can a person go online to change their PIN number? Oh boy.
Does that function? I've got somebody here. It's going to be. We're going to have a new, because I talked about security measures before. This was a big measure we put into place a few years back to reduce fraud, because people were basically assuming someone else's identity and changing their PIN and login and then claiming their benefits on their behalf. So it's always been for the many years now a agent issue. You get to call and talk to somebody so it can do a triple check on your identity. We've now moved that online. I think that'll be deploying, if not later today, sometime soon, that folks can be able to do that themselves. So keep an eye out on our website for that, because I know that right now folks do need to talk to an agent to get that done, and that is purely a identity theft security measure for our claimants. But that will be being changed very shortly, much to our happiness, because that is a large portion of the calls coming in are about password and login and PIN resets.
Yeah, I can only imagine how many people forget their password from one week to the next.
Right, or they filed 3 years ago for TDI or FLI, and you never thought they'd be in this position again.
Right. All right, let me find one more sheet of questions, and then we're going to go back to Tom Bracken and wrap this up. Again, I'm getting, here's a good one. It's not that I worked in one state, went to the next. I currently have a job in New York and a job in New Jersey at the same time. 2 different jobs, 2 different pays, 2 different companies. Can I apply for unemployment in both? Do I only do one or the other? Talk about that dual state situation.
That's a good question. I know I'm definitely gonna say to this person, I should go to nj.gov/labor to look at our FAQs on that. I think if I remember correctly, because I was in the situation, I think you're best off filing in the state where you make more money. They're going to do a check either way. Or you might want to file in New Jersey. We're slightly more generous in our benefits. So I think it has to be sort of figured out that way. With the state, I would file in the state where I'm going to get more benefit for the money I make in that state. So we pay 60% up to a maximum of $713 per week. New York, I think, is maximum is in the 500s or 600s. I'm not sure. So I would file what state I make more money.
So you wouldn't be able to collect from both states, in theory.
No, and we have a system to share wages across state lines.
All right, here's another great one, and we're going to end with this one. Can you apply for unemployment if you're retired, you're getting Social Security benefits, you're a 1099 employee? In this case, they specifically say that we're an Uber driver, right? Retired, getting Social Security, getting a 1099, work's been cut off. Am I eligible for unemployment?
You'll be eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. And as I mentioned earlier, you should start that process by filing for unemployment and getting denied. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the first step to receiving pandemic unemployment assistance, because you will not be eligible for regular unemployment insurance as a legitimate 1099 independent contractor if you are one.
All right, again, this has been great. We can't thank you enough for your time and your insights. We've got just a minute or two left. Is there anything else you want to add? We've been over so much. Is there anything else that you want to get out to the folks?
I just want to say thank you for everyone's patience. Again, I've said it over and over again, and no matter how many times I say it, it doesn't help the folks who are trying to collect benefits right now and are unable for whatever reason, whether it be a problem with their claim or the overload on the phone lines. But I can't say enough that you will get every single penny you are eligible for that you deserve. But at the same time, I want to say our system is working. We have close to 500,000 New Jerseyans who are collecting unemployment benefits this week. And I know that doesn't make you feel better if you're not one of those 500,000. But we just implore you for your patience, and as we get some of these new programs up and running, especially the pandemic unemployment assistance, which will be very important for a lot of the folks who are self-employed, independent contractors who are also without work right now. So keep checking back regularly at nj.gov/labor. You can follow me on Twitter at NJDOLCommish, or our regular Labor Department Twitter feed, where we try and update as much as possible changes to our system, improvements we're making, new programs, applications that are available. Just keep checking back, and it's small solace, but this is something that every single state is going through. I know many states haven't even gotten the $600 out yet. We're one of the first batch of states to get that out, which I'm happy about. But all of us are sort of in the same situation, working. And I saw yesterday IRS is delayed, SBA website went down. So it doesn't make me feel better that our folks aren't getting paid. But I do feel that our system, while it's old, it is working. Like I said, all the payments are getting out. Folks who are claimed and are eligible, the payment processing is working like as it always has and always will. So thank you all for your patience. And hopefully in a month from now, everyone's claims will have gone through, and there will be a lot less anxiety and angst around this in general.
So let's call it a day. Commissioner Asaro-Angelo, again, thank you for your time and your insights. Many thanks to Withum for help sponsoring this and organizing this and put it together. And they're the folks that were putting all the questions together for me. A fantastic job to the gang over there, as always. And as always, for the State Chamber for organizing all of this on top of everything to help businesses, to help employers, to help employees, to help the state.